Welcome to the NitWits, a weekly roundtable discussion on the Penn State Nittany Lions, now in its 22nd season. Our panel features a longtime Penn State media and NitWits tag team, Neil Rudell of the Altoona Mirror and Mark Brennan of Lions 247 with Fight on State. The NitWits are hosted by WTAJ Sports Director Peter Terpstra, and each week we welcome a former Nittany Lion as our special guest analyst. The NitWits are brought to you by Irwin Financial, Raymond James, a firm foundation for your financial future. By Coldwell Banker Town & Country Real Estate, Blair County's home-a-day realtor. By Courtesy Motor Sales of Altoona, where courtesy means a great deal. By Encompass Health, a higher level of care. Encompass Healthcare. Ask for us by name. By Monarch Cleaners, for all your dry cleaning, carpet cleaning, and rug cleaning. By Reed and Solani Orthodontics, providing friendly, family-focused orthodontic care in Altoona, Bedford, and Huntington. By Allegheny Street Cigar, Allegheny Street Cigar, Blair County's only cigar lounge. By McAleer's Plumbing, specializing in plumbing, heating, and air conditioning, serving our community since 1886. By Freedom RV, get ready to tailgate this Penn State football season with Freedom RV Rentals. By Jethro's, serving ribs, steaks, Italian specialties, and the famous Prospector salad since 1983. Takeouts, delivery, and catering. By Lucky's Beer Distributor. Let Lucky's Beer get you ready for PSU game day. By Remax Results Realty Group, committed to a culture of professionalism, productivity, and exceptional service. By Dorman's Jewelry, the answer is always Dorman's. Fullington Trailways, offering round-trip transportation to and from Beaver Stadium from a variety of locations in State College and hotels in the Altoona area. Gio's Barbecue, award-winning hickory smoked ribs, chicken, and much more. By Star Beverage. No matter what type of weather, we are a convenient drive-through one-stop beer store. By Lions 247 with Fight on State, your online home for Penn State football and recruiting coverage. And by the Altoona Mirror, featuring Penn State Game Day every Friday and Penn State Extra every Sunday.
Welcome to Nittany Nation Overtime.
Hey, hi, hello. Welcome to Nittany Nation Overtime. We're the NitWits. You guys love that.
Oh, hey.
You
didn't say that, hello. We'd have to start over.
All right, we got Neil, we got Mark, and our special guest this week, former Penn State captain Mike Irwin. Thanks for coming on again.
It's good to be here. It's good to be with you guys,
Yeah, appreciate it.
It's always a pleasure, for me to be here.
Penn State undefeated, 8-0, coming off a 28-7 win on the road at Michigan State. The weather never seems to be good in Lansing. What'd you see in this one?
Well, to me, their defense has been a real staple all year, and Blake Gilligan is punting the ball tremendously. And I think they're making enough plays on offense. They're not playing quite as evenly as the defense is, but they got off to a good start. They've been getting off to good starts. I mean, people say, well, they're not finishing at times or putting people away as well. Hey, all four quarters count, and they're starting these games consistently well.
Well, but the thing is, they are finishing. I mean, when they had to finish against Michigan, they were able to finish. When they had to finish against Iowa, they were able to finish the game. And as I look at this game against Michigan State, I look at it more as this three-game gauntlet that everybody was talking about before the season. And if you would have asked most people outside of Mike, but any of us, most fans, if Penn State was going to survive that three-game stretch undefeated, I think most people would have said no. So whatever warts may still be there, I think you have to look at it that this team just went through a very difficult stretch. We see how good Michigan is after what they did to Notre Dame, and there's still room to grow. You're looking at a top 5 team right now.
Yeah.
What more could you want? Remember a couple weeks ago when people were complaining about their ranking? I said at the time, listen, all they have to do is take care of business, and they're going to get to where they need to be.
And this is a team that Penn State has struggled against. I mean, this has been a team that just always seems to kind of.
Why are you saying that to Mike?
Well, my hat's off for the coaching staff at Penn State because they came off an emotional win last week against Michigan, and to get them up for this game, it's been a trap game almost every year. Last 2 trips out there, I think they beat us, and last year we were in the top 10 and they beat us. So going out there, I thought, offensively, defensively, and I'm not sure the special teams made some errors, but I mean, the punter Gilligan, I mean, it was probably up for the MVP for that game. I mean, he kept Michigan State down, inside the 10-yard a number of times.
Yeah, he did a great job. I mean, the difference in field position, Penn State started an average field position of its own 42, and Michigan State was their own 19.
That's
I mean,
huge.
you multiply, that's a couple hundred yards in field position.
Yeah, and how about the job that Chisena and Hartlaub, two guys who came to Penn State as walk-ons. Chisena has a scholarship, but these are guys who are not playing a whole heck of a lot otherwise, and for them to embrace those roles, I think talks about some of this buy-in that Franklin talked about after the game, where people are kind of embracing their roles and what they're asked to do. One of the real key things with this team going through this stretch, over the last couple years, people are saying, hey, they lost Saquon, hey, they lost McSorley, hey, they lost Sanders. Well, guess what? At the same time, they were recruiting at a very, very high level, and now you're seeing it. It's not just 1 or 2 star players, it's the depth that they've developed, and that goes all the way down to even these walk-on players.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they're using them, particularly on the defensive side of the ball. A lot of guys are contributing. I didn't think Owe played very well against Michigan. He comes out in this game, gets 2 strip sacks, forced fumbles all across the front 7, and even in the back line where you had some injuries, you have a guy like Marquise Wilson steps in and gets an interception. And, the maturity, Mike, you touched on it. You come off the emotional win against Michigan, and you have to make a tough trip in a monsoon at Michigan State, and yet they were very equal to that. And I think they're really on a real even keel.
They've had a formula to win, right?
I look at
Very
this
good
group
defense.
as the super sophomores, because last year there were 3 guys who were freshman All-Americans, Hamler, Farmuth, and Parsons. And you look at those 3, then you add Clifford in there. The super softs, the 4 sophomores carrying this team right now. I mean, everybody's contributing. I mean, they have so much depth, like you're saying, Neil. I think that, in almost every position they have a lot of depth. I mean, we could go through and question some of the people that are playing, but they do have a lot of depth.
And they're not afraid to use it.
Right.
That's
well,
important.
yeah, especially as you said on defense, when a guy like Jason Owe comes in, Neil, as you mentioned, and does what he's able to do. But then again, that goes back to their recruiting. They have James Franklin's recruited real well the last 3-4 years, and it's starting to show in the field.
So I think we got to touch on Clifford too.
Yeah.
I mean, not just him being a young guy, stepping into the starting quarterback role. Not really sure what you're going to get of him, but he's protecting the ball, and you might have some lulls on the offensive side of the ball. But he's been playing extremely well.
He had 4 touchdown passes, and he could have had 6. I mean, seriously, in the rain. This kid has been a great leader. They had some drops yesterday. It was tough conditions, but he is running and dumping and then running for first downs. They've done a terrific job, I think, in coaching him up and having him as prepared as he's been.
Last week, Franklin said that Micah Parsons has a huge ceiling, that he's not even close to reaching it. And I would say the same thing about Sean Clifford, because as well as he's playing, and I mean that as a positive toward Clifford, as well as he's playing, you can see there are areas where he can still get better. The consistency, not trying to make that one bad throw, missing Freiermuth against Michigan. These are all things that as he plays more and more and more, remember, he's in his first year as a starter. His ceiling, you talk about Parsons with a high ceiling, this kid has one too.
You don't have to mention Farmuth too. There's another sophomore I didn't mention, but
Yeah.
he has 15
It's hard to
TD
believe,
catches
too.
right now. He tied Mike Gesicki for the most TDs in a season.
By a tight end in a career, yeah.
15 in his career.
And
And he's going to be around for at least another year or so. I'm not sure, maybe 2 years.
That's the big
He
question.
go out early,
Yeah.
but
Good thing you didn't play tight end, Mike.
All right, coming up on Nittany Nation Overtime, undefeated, and it sounds pretty sweet for the Penn State fans, but how long can this team keep it up? Next.
The NitWits are brought to you by Irwin Financial, Raymond James, a firm foundation for your financial future. By Coldwell Banker Town & Country Real Estate, Blair County's home-a-day realtor. By Courtesy Motor Sales of Altoona, where courtesy means a great deal. By Encompass Health, a higher level of care. Encompass Healthcare. Ask for us by name. By Monarch Cleaners, for all your dry cleaning, carpet cleaning, and rug cleaning. By Reed and Solani Orthodontics, providing friendly, family-focused orthodontic care in Altoona, Bedford, and Huntington.
You're watching Nittany Nation Overtime.
Welcome back to the show, and of course Penn State is undefeated, 8-0, and now you got to kind of look ahead after this bye week into the remaining schedule. Minnesota's having a really good year. I don't know if a lot of folks are talking about them as maybe a powerful team in the Big Ten, but that's going to be your next game after this bye week, and I mean they're going to have to go out and take care of business. But what does this remaining schedule kind of present? And of course Ohio State is a big topic.
Yeah, I mean, well, Penn State's going to be favored, I mean, pretty solidly, I would imagine, in every game but
so
one.
4.5 already for Minnesota, 'cause
Yeah.
they're off next week.
And I bet
also.
when people start having to actually put money down, I think you're going to see that line go up.
would
But
agree.
you know, you look at Minnesota. The one thing about the Gophers, and I know this isn't a preview of Minnesota, but you know their top win right now may well be over South Dakota State. I mean, that's how difficult that their schedule's been. But having said that, I think the ability to go out there and play another undefeated team, that's just adding to what this team has kind of been building. You know, one thing I've really liked about this team is that early in the year, the offensive line had some growing pains, and the schedule worked out perfectly for it to kind of build to this crescendo in November. And so to me, when I look at 8-0, I think so much of that kind of is at the feet of, we talk about all these other players, but I think the offensive line and the way it's developed has been really overlooked, and I think that bodes well for them moving forward.
You know, I think this was going to be a difficult game, maybe more so than Michigan State, because the success is new to Minnesota out there. They're 8-0 the first time since, I believe, 1941, but they haven't played Ohio State, Michigan, Wisconsin, or Iowa. I mean, they potentially could be body slammed in November. They could. I mean, but they could also win the West.
No, probably their best victory might have been Nebraska. I mean they're probably better
But
than.
really, that's
But
been
you're right, they
the
haven't beaten any of
disappointment in the whole Big Ten.
They're up to
Illinois
number
might.
17 now, so they're ranked number 17. So they have moved up into polls. But I agree with Mark. I think Penn State will be heavily favored the next two games. Then Ohio State, we're going to be an underdog going into Ohio State. But I don't want to get ahead of ourselves. Franklin says he's as good as the next game. So they're coaching that well, doing that.
They've had very successful. Fryermuth made the point after the game is they're really good as a routine team, and they're very comfortable with that, and it showed.
But you're kidding yourself if you didn't think he put a little bit more into this Michigan State game. The way he was talking, even on his radio show, about I think we match up really well. Yes, we've heard everything that people said, and I think it was good for Penn State that they were finally able to get that kind of monkey off the back. The one real quick thing I would say is that if you look at Michigan State, look at what they were able to do and when they did it. They really capitalized on when Ohio State and Penn State were hit with sanctions. And D'Antonio really got that done. And now you see Ohio State's been out of it for a while now. Now Penn State's really out of it. And I think you're starting to see the balance of power really shift to where everybody figured it would be.
I mean, I would say he's going to be on the hot seat at some point.
This year.
I mean, if not this year, next year, because that was a very disappointing Michigan State team.
Does it feel strange if you're a Penn State fan to get your hopes really high at this time of the season? You're just hoping for, maybe you're not going to get a slip up against like Indiana or something like that.
Well, I think Indiana's a dangerous
Yeah,
team.
they are too. Yeah. And
Well, we had a close game with Indiana last year, and we don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. But I think, looking forward, I mean, assuming we're favored and we win those games, Ohio State comes in, with their undefeated record and everything, and Ohio State going to play Penn State, and LSU going to play Alabama. So out of those top five, there's two going to have losses.
Penn State and Minnesota, it's a doubleheader. Alabama and LSU the same day.
Yeah.
And it's shaping up nationally too, because with Oklahoma losing, the avenue is there for Penn State, not only to get to the Big Ten championship game should they beat Ohio State, but maybe even slide into the college football playoff if they can play Ohio State very competitively.
As much as we're talking about all this stuff post-Minnesota, though, remember what happened 20 years ago when Penn State was undefeated. 1999, Minnesota came to Happy Valley and really put the kibosh on that entire season, and things kind of spiraled out of control. So I would say do not overlook the Minnesota team. It is fun for us to look ahead and look big picture, but this is one where I really think Franklin will be one game. Minnesota, one game.
You're right. That's the way they should be looking at it.
They will.
Well, that's
But
why
we
they
get
should
carried
be
away because if you're looking down the
course.
road, you think these possibilities that Penn State could get into the playoff. But it's almost, those last couple games are going to be almost like playoffs, because if they are undefeated and played each other, there's going to be a couple teams eliminated, or at least have one loss.
All right,
And that was a dark day. I mean, I still think that was the worst home regular season loss they've ever had.
Yeah.
All right, coming up next, not too much bad to talk about right now, but what will take this team to the next level? We'll nitpick a little bit next.
The Nitwits are being brought to you by Allegheny Street Cigar. Allegheny Street Cigar, Blair County's only cigar lounge. By McAleer's Plumbing, specializing in plumbing, heating, and air conditioning, serving our community since 1886. By Freedom RV. Get ready to tailgate this Penn State football season with Freedom RV Rentals. By Jethro's, serving ribs, steaks, Italian specialties, and the famous Prospector salad since 1983. Takeouts, delivery, and catering. By Lucky's Beer Distributor. Let Lucky's Beer get you ready for PSU game day. By Remax Results Realty Group. Committed to a culture of professionalism, productivity, and exceptional service.
You're watching Nittany Nation Overtime.
Welcome back to Nittany Nation Overtime. We're the Nitwits, and we are still talking about an undefeated Penn State team coming off from a win on the road at Michigan State. If you were to, Mark, will go to you, if you were to pick on anything where they need to improve if they're going to make that next step.
I thought overall Ricky Ronnie had a great game. I thought he did really, really well. But the one nit that I will pick is the fact that they get these big leads, and it's almost like they go away from the run. They're kind of forcing passes. And I guess I get that to the extent that maybe you're looking to put stuff on tape that people are going to see that they have to prepare for. But in that particular game, you're up big at halftime. I think you just come out and you run the ball straight down their throat, and kind of it's wet. It's you know, you don't want to get anybody hurt. To me, I still think at times they really should commit to the run more when they're winning games big like that.
But you know, the clock management is a big thing. I know Blackledge made his commentary. We're up by 28-7 with about 10 minutes to go, and we throw the first two balls out. I mean, rather than chewing up some time, and you know, and they did the same thing against Michigan. They gave Michigan the ball back because instead of the quarterback had taken the full 40 seconds, they're snapping the ball with 10 or 15 seconds still left on the timer.
You know, I think they're trying to probably develop a couple receiving options beyond Hamler. Dodson has had a couple drops lately, but they still haven't gotten Shorter totally involved. So maybe that was part of it. To me, all the penalties were a negative yesterday. You had 9 penalties for 100 yards, unsportsmanlike penalties. James, I was glad to see him take a hard line about this afterwards, because it was not becoming about Penn State football. You had 3 unsportsmanlike penalties. I just think that is something with the bye week to really address, because it just was not it was not a good look in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, that was interesting because toward the end of the third quarter, the penalties were even, and then Penn State started picking up these unsportsmanlike penalties. You know, the one thing I would say is the players are saying that was a chippy game. And you have to, I was just shocked that I don't know that I've ever seen 3 unsportsmanlike on one team and none on the other. Having said that again, listen, if you're Penn State and now you're a top 5 program, everybody's going to be doing this to you. Everybody's going to be trying to bait you. You have to be smart enough to walk away. When you're beating a team the way they were beating Michigan State, if they're saying something, if they're doing whatever, you have to be the bigger team and walk away.
I liked what you said earlier about with the run game. And I think when Sean Clifford takes off, if I'm going to nitpick on anything, if Sean Clifford takes off, I get worried every time because, I mean, he's not like, you know, the super speedster. He's maybe not as decisive as Trace was. And he's done a really good job, I think, picking up those first downs when he needs to. But Coach mentioned it before, sliding, getting down. I mean, I'm sure that kid has been hearing that his whole life.
And the other thing is special teams penalties.
Yeah.
I mean, they've had close to 10 of them over the last 5 games. You're wiping out kickoff returns, punt returns. You're fumbling the ball. You jump off sides. Parsons, as great as he is, I'm not sure where he was going to jump off sides on a punt that they weren't even trying to block. So I think that area can be cleaned up a little bit.
Neil's
as well.
enjoying this wet blanket segment. He's like
also-
getting into it. Another thing,
Hey,
Neil.
you're the positive to say tonight, Neil.
I went to the State College hub of Delta to get to.
Oh no! I'm surprised you didn't tweet that.
Oh man, Neil had some flight troubles. It happens. But I think kind of to put an overarching theme. I mean, they're 8-0. I didn't pick them to be in this position. I don't think a lot of people did, but they're as far as identity goes, they certainly have it. Taking care of the ball, playing good defense. And we've talked about the offense and being more consistent. It's really easy to be like, oh man, it'd just be nice if the offense could just put up 40, 50 points too. But it doesn't work like that. But still, if that, I mean.
But like Mark said earlier, our schedule has really helped the way it's, we're beating all the tough teams. We're going through the gauntlet right now, or maybe we're already halfway through the gauntlet. There's probably about 3 more games of teams that have got potential to beat us. And
one thing with the bye, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Mike, but one thing with the bye is we're going through the grind following this team. So you don't really get a chance to step back, and it's the same thing for fans. But I think during this bye week, when people take a step back and say, you know what, 8-0, top 5, you have to give a lot of credit to the job this coaching staff has done, no matter what we're nitpicking. They've done a great job. Young players have done a great job stepping up. The offensive line, which I was critical of under Matt Limegrover, he's done a good job, and they've stepped up. So I think across the board, if you're going to give grades at this point, overall, positive grades.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
for sure.
But our real test is still out there, our real big
Minnesota.
I think it has certainly exceeded expectations to this point. And the second bye week, which you don't have them too often,
Make the most
they
of
made
it.
you good use of it the last time around. And we'll see this time.
All right, the bye week returns for Penn State. Coming up next, a chance to rest up. We'll talk about the break after the break.
The NitWits are being brought to you by Dorman's Jewelry. The answer is always Dorman's. Fullington Trailways, offering round-trip transportation to and from Beaver Stadium from a variety of locations in State College and hotels in the Altoona area. Gio's Barbecue, award-winning hickory smoked ribs, chicken, and much more. By Star Beverage. No matter what type of weather, we are a convenient drive-through one-stop beer store. By Lions 247 with Fight on State, your online home for Penn State football and recruiting coverage. And by the Altoona Mirror, featuring Penn State Game Day every Friday and Penn State Extra every Sunday.
You're watching Nittany Nation Overtime.
Welcome back to Nittany Nation Overtime. Before we get to anything else, let's just show you our Nitwit of the Year standings so far. Hey, high five to me. I had him winning by 20, I believe, and when that rain started.
They should move you up ahead of Neil.
Yeah,
Ridiculous.
yeah, okay.
Drop
You
Neil.
guys are tripping over each other to post these.
Yep. All right. So we're not going to make any Minnesota predictions yet because we have the bye week coming up. Neil, what can you tell the people about our show plans?
Our show plans.
Yes.
We're taking a bye.
Yeah, we are.
We're going to relax next week. We're going to email our predictions so no one will have an advantage. We're going to email them to Brendan, and then we will see everybody after the Minnesota game.
We're taking a bye from the show.
Right.
Some of us will still be actually working, covering stuff.
Oh yeah,
Neil.
it's man, basketball's going, hockey, everything's kind of rolling at this time of the year. But it'll be nice. It'll be important to kind of have Penn State, get rested, get ready to go. They're going to go on the road.
Well, and they also get to use this time for work with some of the underclassmen again. To be able to do that twice and have the underclass non-travel scrimmage, that's a big thing to be able to do twice in terms of developing for the next season and beyond.
Yeah, and I think that with the weird week or a weird year getting 2 byes, I think that just the timing of them works out great.
Well, look at Michigan State. Michigan State gets one before the Penn State game and then after the Penn State game. So I think if you're in Penn State shoes, you're loving where these things
Michigan
fell.
State was like being penalized. Is it an optional bye?
Although the way they're playing, they may enjoy not playing.
Yeah, and I mean they're another team that they've had a pretty tough schedule. Gosh, I can't wait to get to Minnesota with you guys. Like,
It's gonna be fun.
I'm gonna miss you guys.
November should be interesting.
All right, that's gonna do it for us. That was your latest edition of Nittany Nation Overtime. We will catch you after the bye week.
The Nitwits are brought to you by Irwin Financial, Raymond James, a firm foundation for your financial future. By Coldwell Banker Town & Country Real Estate, Blair County's home-a-day realtor. By Courtesy Motor Sales of Altoona, where courtesy means a great deal. By Encompass Health, a higher level of care. Encompass Healthcare. Ask for us by name. By Monarch Cleaners, for all your dry cleaning, carpet cleaning, and rug cleaning. By Reed and Salaney Orthodontics, providing friendly, family-focused orthodontic care in Altoona, Bedford, and Huntington. By Allegheny Street Cigar, Allegheny Street Cigar, Blair County's only cigar lounge. By McAleer's Plumbing, specializing in plumbing, heating, and air conditioning, serving our community since 1886. By Freedom RV, get ready to tailgate this Penn State football season with Freedom RV Rentals. By Jethro's, serving ribs, steaks, Italian specialties, and the famous Prospector salad since 1983. Takeouts, delivery, and catering. By Lucky's Beer Distributor. Let Lucky's Beer get you ready for PSU game day. By Remax Results Realty Group, committed to a culture of professionalism, productivity, and exceptional service. By Dorman's Jewelry, the answer is always Dorman's. Fullington Trailways, offering round-trip transportation to and from Beaver Stadium from a variety of locations in State College and hotels in the Altoona area. Gio's Barbecue, award-winning hickory smoked ribs, chicken, and much more. By Star Beverage. No matter what type of weather, we are a convenient drive-through one-stop beer store. By Lions 247 with Fight on State, your online home for Penn State football and recruiting coverage. And by the Altoona Mirror, featuring Penn State Game Day every Friday and Penn State Extra every Sunday. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.